A strong hold over current affairs is your way to succeed in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Brace yourself and get detailed coverage of relevant news both nationally and internationally. With the monthly current affairs revision program starting from 26th October at 5 p.m. Enroll today and elevate your current affairs knowledge with comprehensive coverage of current affairs compiled through relevant sources such as the Hindu Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB Yojana, and others. Expert support and personalized mentoring. Comprehensive assessment through MCQs and mains-oriented questions.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Before we begin, we would like to take a moment to correct an error made in one of our news reports on 21st October. In the news titled 8 Years of Regional Connectivity Scheme, UDAN, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, it was incorrectly mentioned as PM inaugurated Saharanpur, Rewa and Ambikapur airports in Uttar Pradesh as part of the celebrations under RCS UDAN. The correct information is PM inaugurated Saharanpur, Rewa and Ambikapur airports in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh respectively as part of the celebrations under RCS UDAN. Now without any further delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. India and China reach agreement on patrolling arrangements along a disputed line of actual control. Government notifies offshore areas operating right rules 2024. New assessment highlights role of wetlands in national biodiversity strategies and action plans. Connections established between volcanic eruption and ionospheric disturbances. India's solar imports could touch $30 billion annually by 2030, says a Global Trade Research Initiative report. Guess India 2023 survey report of IIT Mandi highlights strong entrepreneurial spirit in Indian students. In a significant development along the Indo-China border, both nations have reached an agreement on new patrolling arrangements along the disputed line of actual control or LAC. This agreement is seen as a crucial step in resolving the military standoff that began back in April 2020. The focus is on addressing issues in the Indo-China western border, particularly in areas like Demchok and Depsang along eastern Ladakh. To provide some context, the tensions between the two countries in 2020 were triggered by China's objections to India's infrastructure projects, notably a road in the Galwan Valley of Ladakh. This road connects to a key airbase, which China viewed as a strategic concern. Now, a quick overview of the India-China border dispute. India shares a 3,488 kilometers long border with China. But this boundary is not clearly demarcated, and there is no mutually agreed line of actual control along certain stretches. The border is divided into three main sectors. First, the western sector in Ladakh, where the primary dispute arises from differing interpretations of the border. India supports the Johnson Line from the 1860s, which includes Aksai Chin within Indian territory. Meanwhile, China recognizes McCartney-MacDonald Line. In the middle sector, covering parts of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, the boundary dispute is relatively minor. In the eastern sector, the focus shifts to Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, where the dispute centers around the McMahon Line, established during the 1940 Simla Convention. China rejects the McMahon Line as the boundary here. Moving on to the diplomatic efforts, India and China have signed 5 key agreements over the years to manage disputes along the LAC. These agreements have played a crucial role in preventing escalations. Starting with the 1993 agreement, it aimed at maintaining peace and tranquility along the LAC. Then, the 1996 agreement established confidence-building measures in military operations. This was followed by 2005 protocol, which provided more detailed implementation of these military confidence-building measures. In 2012, a new agreement led to the creation of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs, or WMCC. This has been an important forum for dialogue. Lastly, the 2013 agreement further enhanced border defense cooperation between the two countries. As we move forward, the recent agreement on patrolling arrangements marks another attempt to address the long-standing issues, particularly in the western sector of the India-China border.
The Government of India has notified the Offshore Areas Operating Right Rules 2024, marking a significant step in the regulation of mineral exploration and production in offshore regions. These rules have been formulated under the Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Act 2002. This is significant in the backdrop of the planned first ever offshore mineral auction of 10 blocks. These blocks will include sand, lime mud, and polymetallic nodules. Let's dive into the key highlights. These new rules apply to all minerals in offshore areas with exceptions for mineral oils, hydrocarbons, and certain atomic minerals. An important provision allows for lease surrender after 10 years should production operations become uneconomic. Another key aspect is the priority access given to the government and government-owned companies in reserved offshore zones. Now, let's take a closer look at offshore mining, often referred to as deep-sea mining. This process involves retrieving mineral deposits from the deep seabed below 200 meters. With the increasing demand for metals and the depletion of terrestrial deposits, offshore mining is poised to help reduce India's dependence on mineral imports. However, there are significant challenges associated with offshore mining. Environmental concerns are paramount as it can lead to biodiversity loss through habitat destruction, underwater noise, and pollution. Moreover, the livelihoods of fishing communities could be at risk due to potential impacts on fish populations. Additionally, there is a lack of technological development and research and development necessary for efficient and sustainable deep-sea mining. To address these challenges, India has implemented several initiatives. The Offshore Areas Mineral Development and Regulation Act 2002 is already in place to ensure the proper development and regulation of offshore minerals resources. The Deep Ocean Mission under the Ministry of Earth Sciences focuses on deep-sea mineral exploration, including notable projects like the Samudrayan Mission and Matsya 6000. On the international front, the International Seabed Authority allocated 10,000 square kilometers of area to India in 2016 for the exclusive exploration of polymetallic nodules in the Indian Ocean, further boosting the country's efforts in this domain.
In our next news, an assessment conducted by 35% Limited, commissioned by Wetlands International, has shed light on the critical role of wetlands in national biodiversity strategies and action plans, NBSAP submitted. The assessment was carried out following COP 15 of the UN Convention on Biological Diversity and comes in response to call for countries to revise their national biodiversity strategy and action plans, NBSAPs, in line with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. The framework is aimed at halting and reversing biodiversity loss by 2030. One of the key highlights of the report is its emphasis on establishing clear, measurable goals for wetland restoration and protection to support both regional and global ecological health. Let's now dive into the key findings from this assessment. According to the report, 83% of NBSAPs globally include wetlands, inland waters, or freshwater ecosystems in their environmental targets. Specifically, 71% of NBSAPs from Asia explicitly mention wetlands, indicating a growing awareness of their importance. The report also highlights the rising significance of different types of wetlands in environmental targets, indicated by mention of wetlands such as mangroves, rivers, lakes, and peatlands in national strategies. However, some significant areas like the Amazon River Basin and Hudson Bay lowland remain underrepresented in these national targets, which poses a concern for global conservation efforts. Moving on to the role of wetlands in biodiversity conservation. Wetlands, they are critical biodiversity hotspots, covering only 6% of Earth's surface. They support around 40% of global biodiversity. They also play a significant role in nutrient cycling and water purification, which enhances water quality and supports diverse ecosystems. Moreover, wetlands act as a natural carbon sinks, storing carbon in plant biomass and sediments, contributing to climate change mitigation and flood control. In summary, this assessment emphasizes the growing need for countries to prioritize wetlands in their biodiversity strategies, both for ecological balance and to meet global conservation goals.
In a groundbreaking discovery, researchers from the Indian Institute of Geomagnetism have established a direct connection between volcanic eruptions and ionospheric disturbances, revealing the critical role volcanism plays in shaping space weather. The study has found that volcanic eruptions can generate strong atmospheric gravity waves, leading to the formation of equatorial plasma bubbles. These equatorial plasma bubbles are depletions in ionospheric plasma density, typically observed in the equatorial ionosphere during post-sunset hours. But why does this matter? Well, these EPBs can disrupt satellite communication and navigation systems, which are essential for daily global connectivity and precision-based technologies. Moving from the sky to the ground, let's take a closer look at volcanism itself. A volcano is essentially an opening in Earth's crust through which lava, ash, and gases erupt. Recent volcanic activities include eruptions like Mount Ruang in Indonesia and Vakari or White Island in New Zealand, both in the year 2024. Interestingly, volcanic activity is a double-edged sword. On the positive side, volcanic eruptions can lead to short periods of atmospheric cooling, as volcanic particles can temporarily shade incoming solar radiation. Additionally, geothermal energy generated by volcanic heat offers a renewable source of electricity, while volcanic ash improves soil fertility by ejected volcanic ash. Moreover, it provides mining opportunities as magma brings valuable minerals to the surface. Other than that, it increases tourism potential and acts as a benefit. Moreover, its ash acts as a soil fertilizer. However, the negative impacts cannot be ignored. Volcanic eruptions can significantly impact the climate by releasing dust, ash, and gases into the atmosphere. Some eruptions can even trigger tsunamis, such as the Tonga eruption in 2022. Other than that, it leads to damage of lives, property, habitat, and landscapes. In conclusion, while volcanoes can bring certain benefits like energy and improved soil fertility, the risks they pose to communication systems, climate, and human safety are undeniable. A recent report by the Global Trade Research Initiative has revealed that India's solar imports could skyrocket to $30 billion annually by 2030. This growth highlights a major challenge: the global dominance of China in the solar industry, which continues to affect local manufacturing not only in India but also in several other countries. Let's dive into the details. Currently, China controls over 80% of global solar production and exports, leaving countries like India highly dependent on imports for their solar needs. The GTRI report outlines several key challenges faced by India's solar manufacturing sector. First and foremost is the high dependency on imports, for example, reliance on China. It limits domestic manufacturing capacity. Additionally, India lacks the capacity to produce essential raw materials like high-purity polysilicon and wafers, both critical in the solar manufacturing value chain. Another hurdle India faces is the gap in research and development and technology. The country is trailing behind in adopting advanced solar technologies like passivated emitter rare contact and thin film technologies. Furthermore, the high capital cost and financial barriers are stifling growth in this sector. But the report doesn't just highlight challenges, it offers solutions. It recommends the expansion of the production-linked incentive scheme, which would cover early-stage solar manufacturing and focus on upstream solar production to build local production capacity. It also calls for increased investment in research and development and advanced manufacturing technologies to create a fully integrated solar supply chain. On the policy front, the report suggests a reassessment of current import duties on solar modules and cells to promote local manufacturing and reduce dependence on imports. Furthermore, it emphasizes the need for collaboration with countries like the US, European Union, and Japan to reduce the global reliance on China. Now, India has already taken steps to boost solar manufacturing. The government has introduced initiatives like the approved list of models and manufacturers, which mandates that government-backed projects use solar PV modules meeting BIS standards. The PLI scheme is also working to promote fully integrated solar PV manufacturing in the country. Additionally, the PM Kusum scheme encourages the use of domestically sourced solar cells and modules to further strengthen the local industry.
Moving on to the next news, let's take a closer look at a significant global research project that highlights entrepreneurship among students across 57 countries, including India. This comprehensive survey has brought forward some major trends that shed light on the growing entrepreneurial spirit among Indian college students. To start with, an impressive 33% of college students in India are already nascent entrepreneurs. This is notably higher than the global average of 26%, showing a strong inclination towards starting new ventures early on. Moving forward, entrepreneurship as a career choice is gaining momentum in India. The survey reveals that 14% of students intend to pursue entrepreneurship after graduating. In fact, Indian students demonstrate the highest entrepreneurial intent globally, a trend that is hard to ignore. Now the question is, what are the key factors driving this entrepreneurial surge? Firstly, the favorable macroeconomic environment plays a crucial role, with India ranking 39th out of 133 countries in the Global Innovation Index. Additionally, India's thriving startup ecosystem is another major contributor, boasting more than 110 unicorns, startups that are valued over $1 billion, making it the third largest startup hub globally, after the USA and China. Furthermore, the educational ecosystem in India, which offers diverse and specialized courses, combined with supportive government initiatives, has been instrumental in promoting entrepreneurship among students. Some major supportive government initiatives that are helping nurture this entrepreneurial ecosystem include the Nidhi umbrella programs, initiated in 2016 by the Department of Science and Technology, which set up a wide network of incubation centers and startup support programs. There's also the Atal Innovation Mission from 2016, which promotes innovation through Atal Tinkering Labs at the school level. And of course, the National Innovation and Startup Policy of 2019, which aims to strengthen the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem on campuses across India. However, despite these positive trends, there are some existing challenges. One of the key concerns is the low number of active entrepreneurs due to lower transition of nascent ventures to active businesses. This highlights the need for better support in scaling startups. Additionally, there is a limited reach and accessibility when it comes to entrepreneurship education and incubation programs. Other challenges include a mismatch between support programs and the specific requirements of student ventures. As for the way forward, it is crucial to encourage entrepreneurship during education. Introducing compulsory courses in universities could be one effective measure. Moreover, expanding the incubation network to provide students with mentorship and funding will be key to fostering a more robust entrepreneurial environment. With such strong backing and a clear way forward, the future of student entrepreneurship in India looks promising.
In today's Place in News, we will discuss Cuba with its capital, Havana. It is in news as Cuba's electricity grid collapsed for the fourth time in the last 48 hours, with Hurricane Oscar making the restoration work difficult. If we talk about its political features, then it is a country located in northern Caribbean Sea at the confluence of Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic Ocean. In terms of its geographical features, it includes minerals such as cobalt, nickel, iron ore, copper, manganese, salt, timber, silica, and petroleum. Interestingly, Cuba is the 9th largest producer of nickel. Moreover, its major rivers include Coto and Toa. And lastly, its climate is usually tropical, seasonally humid with maritime influence and semi-continental features.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Officials from the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, or BCAS, met with airline representatives following reports of bomb threats affecting multiple flights. BCAS was established within the Directorate General of Civil Aviation in 1978, based on the Pandey Committee's recommendation. Fraser Institute released the 2024 Economic Freedom of the World Report. The Economic Freedom Report 2024 ranks 165 countries based on the degree to which policies and institutions permit people to make their own economic choices. First anniversary of operations of Namo Bharat trains was celebrated as Namo Bharat Divas. These trains represent India's first regional rapid transit system or RRTS that currently operates across a 42 kilometers Delhi-Ghaziabad-Meerut corridor covering 9 stations. Recently, bilateral naval exercise Nasim al-Bahr was conducted. The exercise was conducted between the Indian Navy and Royal Navy of Oman in Goa. INS Trikant and Dornier Maritime Patrol aircraft participated from the Indian side. Recently, militants attacked the Z-Mode project site in Jammu and Kashmir. Z-Mode project is a 6.4-kilometer tunnel on the Srinagar-Sonmarg highway at an altitude of 8,500 feet, aimed at all-weather connectivity to Sonmarg. As per German Research Center for Geosciences, a 5.7 magnitude earthquake hit Halmahera Sea in Indonesia. The sea is located near Halmahera Island in Indonesia and is a part of the eastern entry route of Indonesian through-flow passages. Recently, 2 satellites have been built by an Indian private company to be used for the Space Docking Experiment or SpaceX. It aims for indigenous technological development and demonstration of docking or attaching of 2 spacecraft chaser and target in orbit. Recently, World Iodine Deficiency Day was celebrated. Well, iodine is an essential component of the thyroid hormones, thyroxine, T4, and triiodothyronine, T3, which regulate metabolism and are crucial for fetal and infant development. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.